How's it, guys? Welcome back to Piston Works for part 3 of this Vespa build. Now, in the last one you saw me pull apart the frame and sort all the rust out. Well, I say sort the rust, find all the rust. Half the Vespa's now in a bucket of rust. The other half is sitting over there in the corner. Now, don't look over there. There's other stuff over there, so just look here. So today, we're focusing on getting the engine. Now, I've brought down the motorcycle guru, who is here. Motorcycle guru, say hello. So what we're going to be doing today is pulling the whole engine apart and basically diagnosing what are the issues with it. And we're going to have a real in-depth look at everything. So he's going to explain everything and kind of show me what's what, and we're going to learn. So let's kind of get into that and we'll start going into it a bit more.
Full throttle.
Okay,
let's go some of that. Right, ready?
Go on. Right, so tell me, where do we start with this?
Right, well, first thing you can see is that the kickstart is jammed up there. So I think we'll have a look at the transmission, get that off, see if we can get the crank to turn, and go from there. So the first thing we'll do is just take this airbox off.
Oh, so this is the airbox?
Yeah, so we just take that off. There's a
little baby airbox.
Yeah, little few screws here. That should be it after these two.
Right, there we go.
Okay, so that's good. So, right, now the bolts, there's quite a few of them, and a bit of a tip is to crack them all off by hand, because if they do round off when you're trying to do it, you'll struggle to get them out. So crack them off by hand first, and then we use the little gun and
get them off.
Yeah, but normally they're not too bad. But Piaggio seem to put a million bolts around the outside of the transmission, so.
Engine's quite similar for this.
Well, with the Piaggios, the 50cc's from this time are all based on the same. They're all very, very similar. Oil pump inside the transmission.
Oh, okay.
But we can have a look at that once we've got this cover open, and we can sort of find out a little bit of what's actually going to go, what's going on in there. So let's have a little look here. Bolts out. And then we just need to crack this open. So
do you need a little hammer?
A little hammer and probably a screwdriver as well.
Do you want a rubber hammer?
No, a little bit. If you've got a smaller hammer, that'd be great. Nice one.
And
just give it a little tap, and then we just get that in. That's fine. Right, so the belt's okay. Yeah, okay, that's great. And then we'll just have a quick look here to see. Right, well, our crankshaft looks like it's turning okay.
Okay, that's good.
It feels like we've actually got compression on it. So I think this engine is okay, and I think that there is the problem. So if we have a little look at this, another thing that happens is these little pinions here jam. So what we do, take a little bit of pressure off that. That should just slide out. Okay, and that's your little pinion. And if that moves, so we're fine now. So the problem, we'll probably find maybe a tooth broken here on these little gears here, but that's not the problem. So we'll have a little look and see why that's jamming up.
Do you want some engine cleaner?
Yeah, that might be okay. Right, it might be that it just needs a clean. They have on the last little gear here a stopper, so sometimes the gear will jam just on that end bit there. But that actually looks absolutely fine. I think with a clean, we'll be okay. There's a little bit of play in there. We can pull this out and have a look and just check the pump, because in here, if you, I don't know if you can have a look in there, you'll see that's the little oil pump in there, which has got a little setup here. You see there's a little arrow here. We can go in there, check that we've got, this is all nice and clean, all our bushes and everything are okay. There's a little belt that sits behind this variator that we'll check and make sure that's all working okay. Give it a clean, put it all back in, but it seems like this engine is okay, and the fault is with the transmission cover. So
it's crazy how small they are.
Yeah.
So this is a 50cc two-stroke.
Yeah, 50cc two-stroke.
So am I right in thinking when you put fuel in these, you've got to do that mix for a two-stroke?
Well, with this one, you've got your oil pump there. So this will go. This cable here goes up to the oil pump, and it's called an auto lube.
Yeah.
So it'll just automatically feed as you pull the throttle. This goes up to the throttle with a splitter, and as you open the throttle, it opens up the oil pump and feeds oil directly into the engine.
So you don't have to do an oil mix?
No, you don't have to do an oil mix.
Okay.
You've got a separate tank for the oil, separate for the fuel.
Yeah, we remember taking that off and launching that everywhere. That was great fun. Okay, cool. Well, then I've got gun that straight off.
Yeah, but do you want me to do, or you?
I don't mind.
I'll just so we just whiz these off. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
So you just with these, there's not a lot to them. There's no. So that's outer drive half pulley. There's a little fan that keeps the flow of air going across the belt to keep it nice and warm. You've got a striker plate, which is where the kickstart kicks into, and the nut to go on. And some of them have a little washer in there, which that one does. So then we've got, on this side, we've got the clutch, which fits in here. That's the clutch, centrifugal clutch. You've got this thing here that I'm pulling out is a driven pulley. So what happens is when the variator moves, when you rev the engine, this comes across and engages the clutch and changes the gearing. So that we'll put there.
So how does that clutch work in comparison to obviously a normal clutch where you have loads of plates?
That's centrifugal. So that will only work when it gets up to a certain speed. Then it locks out. Whereas a normal bike clutch is done on a lever.
Is that because it's twist and go this?
Yeah, that's exactly right. But what we'll do is let's get this variator out. This is this bit here is where all the roller weights are. So this bit moves when you rev it, and inside there you've got, this is your back plate with sliders, these 3 sliders here which come out, and then in there is a set of rollers, and those rollers there are weighted exactly for this bike. So you can buy upgraded ones, Molossi ones, all sorts of different ones with different weights, giving it different characteristics. So if you change the exhaust, if you change the carb, it'll change the time that the engine starts engaging with the
so like tuning it.
Yeah, we'd like tuning it. Then we've got starter bendix, which is fine. That all works fine, nicely greased up. But it looks like we have got a little bit of oil or something in there. So so we need a Phillips. There's 3 screws, but you only have to undo 2 on here. So we'll pull this out, and if you can see in there, there's the little oil pump belt sitting here, which we'll check because that is a service item and should be really replaced.
I'll tell you one thing, the more we get into this, we're learning new things as we go along. Like, I need better lights in here. Like, it's too dark in here. Can you imagine if we did this when we had the lights the first time? We literally had 1 fluorescent tube light over there and like 1 over here. We wouldn't see anything.
Right, so here we go. That's your oil pump.
That's
there,
tiny.
with the feed going to the carburettor and to the tank. So we'll give that a clean up.
I can't believe how easy this all comes apart.
Yeah, you do it a few times, it's easy. Right, let's put those screws there. Then there's a little plate to hold the pump, which we'll put with that. Then on this one, we've got 2 wheels. We've got a spacer and then a little geared wheel that fits onto the crankshaft. So that's a spacer and a little gear that comes off here. So that's the little gear that goes on the crank. There's your drive for the oil pump.
Yeah.
And what sometimes it wears is this little slot here. You'll get it slightly worn in there, so it's worth checking, giving that a clean. Also, another thing that happens with these engines is you'll get a slight squeal when it's cold in the morning, and it's just this little bronze bush that sits out a bit far. So you can just, if carefully, just tap that in slightly so it's flush, and that will stop any squeals that you might get.
Why is it squealing?
It's just this little bush here rubs on the inside there, and it's not meant to. It should be in a little bit more, and that is it. So if you have a look, that is now all empty. So that is a strip transmission and oil pump out. We can give that a good clean, check it, put it all back together, but that looks like there's nothing. Not a problem there at all. And then when we put it all back together, when we put the pump in, there is a procedure you have to do to prime the oil pump. So when this goes back in, it's got a little screw here which you must undo, allowing the oil to travel into the pump. Once it starts coming out of that little drip, that screw hole there, you nip it up, and then it'll be primed and ready to go up into the carburetor, because if you don't do that, you won't get a feed to your engine. That's not part of it.
Oh, it just fell out when I was...
Right, so yeah, so this one's got the little plate in the back, which is important to keep.
Yeah.
It's also important that the air filter is correctly oiled and it's not dry.
Yeah.
Because that will affect the mixture. This is to just to richen up the mixture slightly when you open the throttle up. So, but yeah, that could do with a clean. We can have a look inside if you want. And just
strip that in a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just saw it over there. I remember taking it off. I was like, maybe we should bring that back.
We'll have a little look at that. But I think what we can do now is just have a clean up, and then we can start reassembling.
Well, I've got you a cloth. Right, so we've cleaned all the engine up, so we got it all nice and clean. Gave the cover a nice big good clean, so that's all cleaned, all the parts as you can see here. So now what we do, putting it back together.
We're going
now?
to stick it all back together now.
So yeah, let's crack on with that. What do you need?
Right, so first of all, we're going to put the little gear, the belt back in. Just check before you put it back in that there's no fraying on there, and all the teeth here you can see are in really good condition, so the belt's absolutely fine. So with the reassemble of this one, you put the little gear wheel, the belt on. This is the easiest way I've found of doing it, and the little gear, and then that will just slide. So with this gear, you've got one side that's got a flat side and one that's open. So you put the flat side against the crank inside here. So that will just slide on, and the gear will go over the little spindle at the bottom there. So that's that first bit done, and then you've got your washer which goes on. You can see the way it's been fitted because of the little marks there. Will fit straight onto the gear, like that. Then you've got a plate which will hold your oil pump, if we get that around the right way. So that will fit on like that.
So you mentioned earlier about priming it or something?
Yeah, when we get to, I'll show you when we get to putting it together. Okay. Right, so let's get this this on first. It's got two little lugs there on the bottom which fit into the casing.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 screws, 2 long, 1 short. So this, you can see the little gear there. So we just line up this little keyway here, and that should fit nicely into there. Put your rubber here, and that will just hold it in place while we're tightening it up. So that will fit there. The little short one will fit here, so you don't interfere with the gear wheel. That one fits there, and then one just at the back there, and that's your pump.
So simple.
Yes, so simple. But like you were saying, this little screw here, you undo when this is connected to the oil tank.
Yeah.
You'll undo this. You'll see there's a little fibre washer on there.
Yeah.
So make sure you don't lose that. As the oil starts feeding down through the pipe, it'll come out this hole here, and start just dripping down slowly. As soon as it starts dripping, you can see there's no air in this pipe and it's all just oil. You just pop that back in, nip it up, and that'll be the pump primed, and then it will start feeding through. But you'll see when you start the engine, you'll see the oil moving along inside this pipe going up to the carburetor, but that'll do when we're starting it. So now that we've got the pump in, we're going to put the variator back in. It's, this bit here, you'll see you've got a slider, which fits in the middle there. None of this needs grease. The early ones used to have grease, but as long as it's clean, it doesn't need any grease. And here we go, 6 rollers. They're all, these are all standard rollers. Sometimes you'll have rollers with it only plastic on one side, and they go left hand with the plastic onto this surface. And that's quite important because it's the way when the variator spins under load, the roller will push against that surface, so it needs the plastic side to push against that side, otherwise it wears it out. So you've got to make sure that you do that. But these are plastic on both sides, so that's absolutely fine. So you put your rollers in, then we've got this is the back plate. On Piaggios, they have actually got little grooves in there to fit on the crankshaft. On some bikes, they don't, it's just smooth there. On Peugeots, for instance, they'll have that as smooth. But we'll just assemble that. Make sure that it's sliding up and down quite freely, which it is. But also another thing to do is to check that these little sliders here are not worn. Sometimes you'll see here, that bit there will be worn out, and then the back plate will start moving in the back of the variator and they can get stuck. So it's worth making sure if you're going to replace the rollers, you replace the sliders as well. But those are all in good shape. So we'll just slide that on all the way to the back.
There's not any like specific way round, it's like...
This one, no, there isn't anything. That should all just fit in perfectly like this. There is a rule of thumb when you're putting the variator, this outer pulley half on, as long as that crankshaft, you can see here, when all this goes together, we'll put the belt on in a minute, as long as the crankshaft is not sticking proud through here, you know, the crank's not, then you've got everything, because it'll clamp it up nice and tight. That's the only thing really to look out for, because some have got little washers here, and sometimes if this doesn't go all the way properly back, or the variator's not seating, but as long as you've got it sitting like that with a bit of crankshaft showing, that's fine. So once we got to this stage, we're going to now put the driven pulley on, which is the spring. So one thing you can check when you're putting this on is to check, you see how this moves up on the spring, and it's all free. You've got no play in that, and at the back here it's all fine. You haven't got any cracking, there's no problems at all there. So it's got a little bearing in there and a little bearing in there, and that, when it goes on, will just spin nice and freely and not make any noise, and that's what you should be looking for. No play in there, and that's fine. So to put the belt on, so the next thing we're going to do is put the belt on. So an easy way of doing it is you pull your variator up like that, push the belt in, bring it round, so you've got, that is what you're looking for. So
just keeps it all tight.
Keeps it all tight, and it's easy. Put your fingers in the back there and just drop that on like that. And that's it. That's the belt on. So there's a reason for that. Once you've got the belt this way, the variator won't be pushing on the belt itself. It'll be on this bit here, on the actual crankshaft, the spacer here. So that will be, because if you try and tighten it up with the belt tight here, it won't engage properly. It won't lock up properly. So you need to have slack on the belt for it to tighten up. So we'll just put the outer fan on and the little striker plate.
We've got some rowdy BMW outside. Those yobbos outside making loads of noise.
Yeah, well, one thing I did forget is actually the start appendix. So this little thing here has to go in before you put the variator outer pulley half on. So that just fits in there. Make sure that it's all nice and clean. Right, let's go for this again. Let's put that on, and then we'll go for the fan and the little striker plate. Okay, that's on. and then clutch bell housing, that just slots over the top.
Am I missing something here? But what does the belt actually connect to on the inside, or am I?
It doesn't connect. So what happens is that when you rev it, those little weights, the weights in the back of the variator throw out, forcing this back plate, the variator, to close.
Right.
So that will close against this outer pulley half.
Right.
That will then pull the belt across, and it changes the gear. So this, from a small gear to a big gear, changes it to a big gear to a small gear. So that's how the gears work.
So it actually, the teeth on this are almost irrelevant to a certain degree.
A lot of it is to, yeah, they are, but it's to help it bend, and also some of the bigger bikes have got teeth on the top, and that's to help with the flow of air to keep it cool, because it will get hot.
So it's actually gripping on the side here.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are the side, you need to check as well, but when you get your belt, that there's no cracking between these teeth, and that there's no belt coming out on the edges here. This belt is absolutely fine, so that's great. So
learn something new every day.
Absolutely.
I was looking at it, I was like, because when you put it on like a car, you've got the gears and it sits round, and that's what it all drives round. And I was like, how?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Right, we're just going to lock these up. I'll just do this one.
How many ugga-duggers do you do it up?
Well, that's enough.
That many ugga-duggers?
Yeah, I mean, you can, Piaggio give you you can buy a little tool that you put here, and it locks the teeth, and then you can torque it up, use whatever spanner, then you can hold it without having one of these guns. But the gun, it's quick. It takes 2 seconds. It doesn't need to be hugely tight, just nip it up, but you'll know your gun. So, right, and then the last thing you've got to do before you leave this is get that belt to go in. So just give it a pull so that it starts engaging, so that works, because what happens if you leave that belt and you start the bike up, that won't pick up the belt, so you'll rev it and it won't engage. Okay. So you need to do that just to make sure that that's working. Now feel it's all free, there's nothing else really to go on except for the cover, and that's it. And then hopefully this will all go together.
And we cleaned all of that up nicely.
Yeah. So this is your half moon gear and your little Bendix there, which is all nice and clean now. Also got a little bearing in there. The earlier Vespas didn't have this. It's just to keep that nice and solid. So hopefully that should just...
Do we not have to put is there no gasket or anything on that?
Piaggios don't have a gasket. So some of them do. Piaggio's very straightforward. You don't need a gasket. Just straight in there. No, it's good. All the bolts now. Tightening up this, and then we'll just see if we can get it to turn over, because before this was hanging down there, seized up. So hopefully this is all going to turn over quite nicely.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
You can hear it.
Beautiful.
Sounds like we've got good compression as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we are now ready to do the carburetor.
Yeah. So we'll pull all the carb apart.
Yeah.
I've got...
is that an 8 or a 10 little spanner? What we'll do, I think, if we say right, we're going to just have a look at the carb, pull it apart, and then we take this out, take all the other bits out. So
do you need an 8mm spanner?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah. If we can get in this video to this turn on, and we know this is good, then everything else is up to me to do fabrication.
Yeah, no, we'll do this is fine. Okay, so right, what we've got here is the little carb. It's a little bit dirty, so we'll just go through, pull it apart, just show you what all the bits and pieces do, clean it, reassemble, and then we'll get it back on the bike. So first of all, with these little carbs, not all of them have them, but this has got a little plate here, which is important for the mixture.
I've got a skinny one.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Right, okay, well let's just pop that up there. That's fine. We'll take this thing here is an automatic choke, which we'll take out. Here we go. There's only one other bit that we need to unscrew here. Is these come with a little carb heater here, there, and that's just stop any carb icing that might might form.
Carb heater?
Yeah, it just keeps it warm, stops any ice. Right, that should, with a little wiggle, just pull out. And they've got a little O-ring in there. Right, there we go, that's that. And what happens when this heats up, it's got wax in there, this little plunger will move in. So that looks fine, we'll give that a clean. Okay, so what we're going to do is just take this little carb heater out, which is there. It just unscrews. There's nothing in there, it just keeps it warm. And now we're going to take the float bowl off. So we just unscrew here, 2 screws. We're just going to undo the float bowl here, and they shouldn't actually fall out the float bowl. So first of all, let's have a little look, and that looks very clean in there. There's no dirt or anything, so that looks pretty good. The little seal looks good. So we'll take the main jet out, which is the big one in the middle. Take that one out, put it in there, and that little one there is your pilot jet, which we should be able to. I need a slightly smaller screwdriver, but I can get this.
Like that?
That's fine, I've got it now, that's perfect. And then we'll take the float out. Sometimes if you give it a little wiggle, the pin will drop out, which it does. There we go. And out comes the float and needle, which all look absolutely fine. There's no dirt anywhere. So I think this carb is nice and clean. We'll just pop the seal off. Actually, yeah, let's just get that off.
So apart from this bike being rusty as hell and looking like it's been living in the ocean for the last 6 months,
yeah,
engine's actually not too bad.
No, it seems absolutely fine. There's no dirt in here. It looks very clean in the carb. Although the outside of the carb's dirty, the outside of it's very dirty, and the rust, but it's actually quite good. Vespas are pretty good bikes. I mean, you don't have that many problems with them. So if they're looked after, if you leave them to rot in the sea, then yeah, they're going to. And again, just nip these up. Little back plate on, and that should just push in like that. And then the last thing is the automatic choke. So we'll just give that a little wiggle. I mean, it's just a case of keeping it nice and clean, making sure that everything's set up correctly, and it's basically any little bits of dirt in there is going to upset it. So you've got to just make sure that it's really well cleaned inside. Use some good carb cleaner, but that's the way to do these ones.
I mean, you remember when we did the pit bike, how bad that carb was? They had like crystallized chunks in it. Right.
Right, so have we got power, have we? We can hold it here. Look. I just want to see if we've got a spark. If we've got a spark, then
you ready? I'll turn this on, this will go do 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 do, and then start pumping power through that. Yeah, there you go. So you've got power now.
Right, that should give us power. So it should kick the starter motor. That should kick the starter motor.
And the starter motor's all plugged in.
Yeah, it should be. And then I'll do the squirt at the start.
Yeah, and I'll hold this here. We've put everything back together. We have just found out that the starter motor's completely shot on this, but we need to check whether it starts. So we're about to do some sketchy shit. So hold on to your horses, right? We're gonna do some stuff, right? So I'll hold here. I've got throttle. Do I just give it a bit?
Full throttle.
Full throttle.
That's it. It's no
full throttle.
Okay.
I got this.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Ready?
You ready?
Right, here we go. Beautiful.
Oh. That was a little squirt. I thought it was going to be way more dramatic.
Do you want to do a bit more?
I thought it was going to be like, you know, how's your dad?
Right, throttle.
Full throttle.
Okay, let's go. Some of that. Right, ready?
Go on.
Good.
Can't complain with that. Cannot complain with that. I love sketchy. That was amazing. Right, so
yeah,
engine works. We saw the wheel spin as well, so it means the gearbox is working. All the
clutch, all the transmission's fine.
All of that's working. We replaced the kickstart pedal.
Yeah.
Because that was gone. We need to get a new starter motor.
Yeah.
And we haven't totally got a parts bike back here already.
Yeah, no, we haven't. No, of course not.
Doesn't exist. So starter motor, but otherwise
she's good to go.
Good to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we're just on to fabrications now, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy days. So I think that's basically it for this video. We've got fully rebuilt the transmission, pulled the carb apart, broken some gloves, done some sketchy shit, got the engine running, and that's basically it for this video. So if you like this video, drop us a comment. If there's any other things you would be interested in seeing in the future for Vespas, drop me a comment and let me know, because I've got a feeling this might not be our last Vespa video.
Maybe not, no.
Might be more Vespas coming. But thank you very much.
No problem.
Motorbike Guru coming down, helping us as always. And if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We've also got some other videos. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. But for now, we'll see you in the next video where we actually start putting this all back together and doing all the fabricating. So peace out. I'll catch you guys there. See you later.